Part 145. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1441. Fang Fan wiped the blood from the holy sword in his hand, his expression as cold as ever. A cheap threat. I believe there should be a lot of people willing to tell me, I'll give you this chance to live now. Fang Fan bared his teeth and grinned. Originally, he seemed to be kind, but in the eyes of the practitioners of the Holy Heaven Alliance, he looked extremely terrifying. The leader has been beheaded. Let's not drag it stubbornly, we are not his opponents, we can't drag it. I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, so I can only choose to surrender. All the leaders of the Alliance are dead. Just surrender. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can only save your life. I am willing to report. I am also willing to provide information. I know everything, I'm willing to say anything. When life is threatened, all other words pale. Under the pressure of this momentum, everything is silent. Holy Heaven Alliance launched a bloodbath. Anyone involved in this incident was slaughtered. The heads fell to the ground, and Fang Fan's heart became silent. They really are damned. It is precisely because of the existence of these bastards that the human race will cause misfortune. Only millions of elites of the human race will die. There are still millions of people living abroad. Revenge is inevitable. Of course, Fang Fan is not the devil, he can't slaughter the entire Shentian League. Like Qin Hai, who has never been involved in this kind of thing, if he also kills him, wouldn't he really be enchanted? Looking at the heads all over the ground, Qin Hai, who was standing beside him, swallowed a mouthful of saliva subconsciously. These slaughtered are basically the absolute high level in the Holy Sky Alliance. After all, those little people can't get involved in this kind of thing. Most of the emperors of the Holy Sky Alliance were basically killed. Alliance leader, throne inspector, a few supreme elders. Their heads are piled up together, making people subconsciously feel a sense of panic when they see them. In the mind, the shock is even stronger. However, these people are just a drop in the ocean compared to the overall number of Holy Heaven Alliance. The Holy Heavenly Alliance is still here. The practitioners of the Shentian League knelt down in front of Fang Fan, their bodies were shaking wildly, and their eyes became extremely frightened. They are afraid and afraid. They pressed their heads down, as if they were afraid that Fang Fan would watch them and give them a fatal blow. Brother Qin Hai, are you willing to become the leader of the Holy Heaven Alliance? Fang Fan smiled and then walked to Qin Hai, the inspector of the Golden Throne of the Holy Heaven Alliance. There was some friendship between them, and Fang Fan also knew Qin Hai's character and personality. It is indeed a pity that the Holy Heavenly Alliance was dissolved like this. And it is impossible for him to slaughter all the practitioners of the Shentian League. So there needs to be a person in charge of the overall situation. Me? I can't, how can I? Qin Hai was stunned for a moment, then quickly waved his hand with a look of fear on his face. The gap between the inspector of the Golden Seat and the leader of the Alliance is 108,000 miles. Qin Hai never thought that he could reach that high position in his life. Oh, I originally thought that if Brother Qin Hai could take over the Holy Heaven League, I would not choose to slaughter the entire Holy Heaven League. Then if Brother Qin Hai refuses, then I will suffer and be slaughtered. Fang Fan's mouth was slightly raised, seemingly casually speaking. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1442. The cultivators of the Holy Heavenly Alliance listened to their ears, and their faces suddenly showed a look of horror. This is so, how can it be possible? This tossing, it is really completely cold. Inspector Qin Hai, you promise. We are all willing to respect you as the new leader. Qinghai Alliance Leader. Qinghai Alliance Leader. Lord Leader, please save us. Please leave us a way out. Qinghai Alliance Leader, we will do our best and die, and we will never betray you. Qinghai Alliance Leader, you save us for the sake of so many of our lives. The shouting goes on and on. This is their highlight moment. At this moment, this desire seems especially real. Qinghai stood there, opened his mouth and closed it silently. He really didn't know what to say at this moment. Brother Fang Fan, no. Yes, it is the master of Fang Fan, Qinghai, Qinghai He De Nang. Qinghai stood respectfully in front of Fang Fan. His tone at this moment was very different from his previous tone, and the gap was too great. Previously, Qinghai only felt that he and Fang Fan were similar, or belonged to the same level of existence. But when he saw that the leader of the alliance, Yingtian, was beheaded by Fang Fan at will, he completely understood. The gap, no. Accurately speaking, it is a natural mode. Even if he cultivated for another 100,000 years, he would not be able to keep up with such a natural mode. Brother Qinghai, you don't need to be restrained. I can see my virtues in my eyes. If you can take over the Holy Heaven Alliance, there will be a new scene. From now on, the Holy Heaven Alliance is subordinate to my human Emperor's palace and is a vassal of my human Emperor's palace. Would you like to accept it? How about you keep the Holy Heaven Alliance for me? Fang Fan squinted his eyes and directly revealed his bottom line. What he expressed at this moment was his bottom line. The bottom line is here, and there is no need to say more. Qinghai nodded silently. He had already thought of this ending. It is a miracle that the Holy Heavenly Alliance, which has done such a monstrous wrong, can continue to exist. Naturally, there can be no more extravagances this time, and being annexed by the Emperor's palace at this moment, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Qinghai's eyes swept around the surroundings, looking at the soldiers of the Emperor's palace with sturdy combat power. A look of shock appeared on his face. The real king is the soldier, the high-ranking emperor is the general, and the quasi-sanctuary is the commander. Is this Fang Fan's confidence and strength? I haven't seen it for a few months. What has this young man who is good at creating miracles experienced? Quasi-saint, what an invincible existence. Qinghai's eyes continued to turn, and he saw Haun, the son of Haoshan Pavilion's pavilion master, who was shivering on the ground, and the head of the Haoshan Pavilion's guardian Balin. Haoshan Pavilion, that is the supreme existence. As for the Haoshan Pavilion protector Balin, according to what Yingtian, the former leader of the Holy Heaven Alliance, had said, he was a supreme sanctuary powerhouse. Can Fang Fan kill even the powerhouses of the sanctuary at this moment? Qinghai's body trembled along with it. At this moment, he is nothing but the real king realm. Palace Master Fang Fan, please rest assured, the Holy Heaven Alliance will follow in your footsteps and fight to the end. Your thoughts are the fighting direction of the Holy Heaven Alliance. Shengtianmen will definitely go to a new glory under your leadership. Qinghai fell to his knees on the ground, showing his surrender. Immediately, all the practitioners of the entire Shengtian League bowed their heads, and the weak surrendered to the strong. This is the supreme law. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1443. Fang Fan nodded secretly, his eyes gradually became sharp. The Holy Heaven Alliance forms the Holy Heaven Legion. From now on, follow the orders. Qinghai is the commander of the Holy Sky Legion. Fang Fan once again ordered that it is understandable to expand a legion on the basis of the Holy Heaven Alliance. After all, the quality of the soldiers of the Holy Heavenly Alliance is quite good. At least you can pull up a legion of kings across the board. Follow the order of the Hall Master. Qin Hai bowed his hands respectfully. At this moment his Fang Fan had already thrown his body to the ground. If it weren't for Fang Fan, he wouldn't be able to fly directly from a Golden Seat Inspector to the high position of the leader of the Holy Sky Alliance. People are self-aware, and there will be some gratitude in their hearts. After finishing the matter of the Holy Heaven Alliance, Fang Fan flew back to the human race plane, and it was time to let the Imperial Palace be promoted again. Xiao Xiao and the Sword Spirit in the small world of Shushan Pavilion are all waiting for him to recover. And to revive them, a lot of God's source power and the power of faith are needed. There is no way to obtain the source power of God for the time being. But the power of faith can be increased by increasing the level of the temple to recruit more high-level believers. The level of the desolate God's temple is also restricted by the level of the human emperor's hall, so the source of everything is to be promoted to the level of the human emperor's hall. Today's emperor's palace is an 8th rank power. And when he was in Chentian City before, Fang Fan had already obtained the qualification to be promoted to the 7th rank. Previously, Fang Fan once felt that he had obtained the qualification to be promoted to the 7th rank, and the palace of the emperor was equivalent to a direct promotion. Only later did I find out that this qualification is really just a qualification. The luminous sun galaxy is a galaxy under the Chentian star territory. If it is promoted to the 7th rank force without the relevant review, even if it is successfully promoted, it will be disapproved by the Chentian star territory. The biggest significance of going to Chentian star domain to win this qualification is probably to get the official certification. As for the promotion of power in the later stage, you still have to rely on your own power. If you can advance a few more levels at one time. 7th rank, 6th rank, or is it stronger? Fang Fan squinted his eyes secretly, and there were bright lights in his eyes. When the Hall of Human Emperor has been promoted to a sufficient height, the Temple of the Desolate God will also rise with the tide, and the number of believers that can be recruited will also be more, and the power of belief will be astronomical. Of course, the premise is that you can be promoted successfully. With this in mind, Fang Fan has come to the sky above the palace of the emperor. Far away, Fang Fan could already see Ymir and others looking forward to it. Are you all ready? Fang Fan walked to Ymir's side, his eyes instantly became solemn. Everything's ready. A power promotion can be carried out at any time. Ymir walked over lightly and secretly pressed her eyes. Fang Fan nodded secretly, and glanced around. 10 legions, 6 heroes, 100,000 war slave legions, human emperor legion, temple guardian legion, and thousands of human race practitioners. All in one heart. Pursue prosperity. The human race will grow in the extreme realm. Grow to an unparalleled height. Shock the ages. The human race is bound to stand in the forest of the powerful races of the heavens. Fang Fan was at a high altitude, his eyes gradually became sharp and calm. Resurrected spiritual energy, all kinds of rare mineral veins that were gradually discovered, the will to unite. These are the signs of the rise. Human Sovereign Hall, promoted to rank 7. Fang Fan gave an order, and then said a few obscure incantations. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1444. Rumbling. The explosion of thunder sounded, only the sound of thunder could be heard, but the sky thunder could not be seen. The sky suddenly turned colorful. Red, gold, purple, all kinds of purple and red. Roar. A roar came, and 3-headed dogs with fiery red bodies descended from the sky. Fang Fan opened his mouth, and the stunned expression on his face grew more and more, which looked very unique and strange. These 3-headed dogs are compared with the 3-headed dogs of hell, that is, there are some differences in color. Everyone, be careful, be careful. The 3-headed dog of the 10-star Emperor realm. This is the assessment for promotion to the 7th rank power. Fang Fan looked up and was completely stunned. Husband, promotion to power, that's not how you count. Generally speaking, the assessment is only once, and the assessment will be carried out according to the limit that can be tolerated, and a comprehensive assessment will be made according to the final result, and then promoted to power. For example, if a sanctuary powerhouse leads a group of king-level cultivators to pass a power promotion assessment, it is also possible to directly promote the power from the 9th rank to the 5th rank, the 4th rank and even the 3rd rank. Of course, in this process must be endured. It is still unknown whether it can pass the relatively difficult assessment. Sikong Yuxin walked over and explained immediately. She obviously knew more. I see. Looking at it this way, although my imperial palace is only an 8th rank power now, but it may endure the tribulation of the 4th rank and 5th rank powers and even stronger. The major legions are arrayed. Meet the enemy. Fang Fan snorted secretly, and the sound of battle suddenly sounded. Although these fiery red three-headed dogs look extraordinary, they are only 10-star Emperor realms after all. Looking around the whole circle, the number is only a few hundred. The pressure to resist is not too great. With a burst of fire from the low heavy machine gun corps, everything is over. The low heavy machine gunners are also in the 10-star Emperor realm, and the law bullets they shoot can already cause damage to these three-headed dogs in the 10-star Emperor realm. More importantly, they shoot fast enough. A burst of everything is over. With the frenzied shooting of law bullets, a firepower network has been formed, and those fiery red three-headed dogs are gradually disappearing. And this is just the beginning. Roar! Hoo ho ho! Frost giant dragons attacked frantically again, and at the same time, pieces of hail the size of human heads also landed rapidly. These head-sized hailstones should suddenly change shape when they are about to fall, and it seems that they have begun to have vitality. They first gave birth to wings, quickly gave birth to feet, and gave birth to heads, forming the appearance of snow-white giant bees. Although the human head-sized snow-white giant bee looks a little bigger, it can still accept. But overwhelming, are all this kind of snow-white giant bees. The range they cover is the entire palace of the emperor. This is a full-scale strike. Law of heavy machine gunners. Shoot! Fang Fan clenched his hands tightly, his face calm. Da-da-da. With the familiar sound of heavy machine guns, the heavy machine gunners turned their guns, raised their shooting height, and then attacked the frost giant dragons and snow-white giant bees. Sonorous! Sonorous! The sound of metal collisions followed, and those law bullets hit these frost dragons, leaving only white marks. Even if it hits those snow-white giant bees, it only knocks off some of the ice cubes on them. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1445. What a strong defense! Fang Fan narrowed his eyes and sighed inwardly. Such a tyrannical defense, wanting to penetrate, it's too difficult. These snow-white giant bees seem to have the combat power of the 7-star to 9-star Emperor's realm, but the defense has reached the 10-star Emperor's realm. And there are too many, I can't even take it into account. If these snow-white giant bees really rush to attack, the risk factor will increase to a great extent. Fang Fan thought to himself, an anxious look appeared on his face. The situation is not optimistic. Even a little careless is the end of the game. Vega, can you obliterate it? Fang Fan looked at Wei Jia and immediately asked. Looking at the audience, Vega's range attack is the strongest. Lord, I can deal with the third. The rest, can't do anything. My dark magic has limited coverage. Vega glanced at the sky and said immediately, with a more or less silent look on his face. 1/3, good. You deal with it first, and I'll handle the rest. Where is the War Slave Legion? Give me a complete interception of these snow-white giant bees. Don't let them be a disaster. Galen. You heroes give your full support. All the remaining legions are overwhelmed. No reserve team. Fang Fan held the 4-star holy sword, rushed up alone, glanced over, at least hundreds of thousands of these giant bees. It is because there are so many that it is particularly difficult to deal with. Click, click. The giant bees fought against Fang Fan's legion. The weapons in the hands of the soldiers had just been delivered, and the snow-white giant bees actually devoured the weapons. These giant bees not only gnawed at the weapons, but even directly trashed the soldiers, and then bit down and began to swallow the soldiers' blood. The scene was once extremely bloody. And Fang Fan and the others were extremely slow in killing these giant bees. It would take at least a few hours to kill them all. Fang Fan clenched his fists with a cold look on his face. Damn giant bee! How did it evolve to this point? Could it be that the good situation has stopped here? This is the god of destruction bee. At this time, a young man in a snow-white long-distance runner emerged from the crowd. Bai Piao. Fang Fan was shocked when he saw it. Where did you go before? I didn't even see a figure when I came back. Fang Fan was surprised when he saw Bai Piao. When I saw Bai Piao for the first time, it seemed that he was still in Su country. At that time, Bai Piao was the envoy of Su kingdom, but was pressed and rubbed on the ground by several demonized beasts of the king realm. Fang Fan was surprised at that time. After Zhou understood, this guy is a waste of combat power. The combat power is at most 1-star and 2-star king realm, but the defense is amazing. Although he is often beaten to vomit blood, Fang Fan has never seen his defense system collapse. It seems like a tumbler. This god has gone to practice. Bai Piao raised his head proudly as he spoke. A few days ago, he found that the spiritual energy of the human plane began to recover, and the bottleneck of his seal was gradually loosening. Then he traveled around, and finally found a superstar crystal giant mine, and then hid in the superstar crystal giant mine for a period of time. The seal of the bottleneck Shenma did crack some. But still a scumbag. The fate of this life is so, what can I do? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1446. In Fang Fan's impression, Bai Piao has always belonged to the role of the 5 scumbags who also served as super meat shields. What kind of god-destroying bees did you just say these snow-white giant bees are? Do you know how to destroy these god-destroying bees? The situation is urgent. Fang Fan directly dragged Bai Piao and walked over with an anxious look on his face. The current form and situation are very bad, and we can only find other ways to deal with it. It's not that there is no way, but the price is a bit high. This god of destruction is a kind of pet kept by the god of destruction. I don't know how it suddenly appeared here. Of course, these god of destruction bees just have a little charm of the god of destruction's bee pet. But then it's just a little bit of charm, and it's very strong. The defense is super strong, and the combat power is a little bit worse. At this point, it's almost the same as the envoy. Hey, this divine envoy is really knowledgeable, and it is impossible for ordinary people to know this kind of secret, and only this divine envoy is like this. Boom. When Bai Piao was chattering, Fang Fan kicked out. Creepy, so much nonsense. Can you be a little bit quicker? Isn't the bullshit over yet? Don't even look at what's going on right now. Heavy casualties in minutes. Don't talk nonsense. Talk about the key point. How to kill these bees of destruction. Fang Fan took a breath and glared at Bai Piao fiercely. Boy! How dare you kick this envoy? How dare you be rude to this envoy? The envoy has transformed and sublimated. The envoy is now powerful. Under the Emperor's realm, I can be immune to any damage. Bai Piao raised his head proudly, his posture arrogant. So what? Would you like to feel my father's love? Fang Fan's mouth twitched, and Bai Piao was still the same as before, not changing at all. Fang Fan stretched out his hand, grabbed Bai Piao's body directly, and then slid over and rubbed it. Low-level quasi-saint. This, how is this possible? Bai Piao widened his eyes in surprise, then took a deep breath, and looked at Fang Fan in disbelief. This is amazing. He remembered that the last time he met Fang Fan, he was just a scumbag in the king's realm. How long has it been? A year? Half a year? How many realms have this special raised? Originally, he wanted to come out and pretend, but now he was slapped in the face. Now, do you still need to talk nonsense? Do you still want to feel the love of a father like a mountain? Fang Fan scratched with both hands, and the corners of his mouth twitched unnaturally. The situation is really urgent now. Otherwise, Fang Fan couldn't help but beat this guy. No. No, I feel it. Since this destruction god bee was conceived by the pet of the true god, it is naturally difficult to attack its weakness with ordinary attacks. Unless. When Bai Piao said this, he sold another hurdle. Fang Fan stretched out his hands and placed them on Bai Piao's body, resisting the urge to suck him up. Bai Piao felt the temptation in Fang Fan's eyes, and subconsciously shrank his neck. Unless you have a lot of God's source power or the power of faith to assimilate them all. God's source power, it's too precious here, dozens of divine horses have no effect. As for the power of belief, how can mortals use it? So it's no use saying it, this is a dead end. If you want me to say, let's withdraw. Leave the green hills without worrying about no firewood. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1447. Bai Piao said, and then quickly shook his head. From his point of view, he doesn't think this route has any hope. All he saw was endless despair. Instead of bouncing around in this endless despair, it is better to choose a complete end. God's source power. The power of faith. Fang Fan's eyes lit up, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. At this moment, he really does not have much of the source of God's power, but the power of faith has never been lacking. If the nemesis of these god bees was the power of faith, then there would be no problem at all. Of course others can't mobilize the power of faith, but Fang Fan is the supreme desolate god. Although it is only a god position now, mobilizing the power of faith will not be affected at all. The power of faith, scattered. Fang Fan snorted secretly, and took the lead in exuding the power of 10 million beliefs. These beliefs were basically embellished on the body or weapons of the practitioners in the Hall of the Emperor. Fighting at this moment is even better. Fang Fan snorted lightly, his eyes twinkled brightly, and his willpower rose to its peak. Everyone, get ready. War. Blood battle destroys the bee. Fang Fan gave an order, and the battle scene changed instantly. Da-da-da. Under the overall command of Bayless, the low heavy machine gunners took the lead in launching a fierce attack. Countless law bullets were shot from the muzzle, and the entire space trembled, and the will to fight rose wildly, giving people a kind of vibration and hope from the soul. Combat power is shooting. The bullets of the law were shot at the head-sized bees of destruction, and at this moment it was not just a fragment of their bodies. Instead, it was instantly wiped out. Boom. Bang bang bang. There were bursts of cracking sounds in the air, and the bursting sounds roared, and those head-sized bees of destruction were self-destructing one by one. The scene became especially bloody, and everyone gasped. The 100,000 cultivators of the War Slaves Legion rushed towards the destroyer bees with various weapons and slashed them down with one sword and one sword. It was not the sound of metal collision before, but a sound of salsa. Those destruction gods with extremely powerful defense, the bees were slaughtered little by little. The battle is lit. This is a massacre. The inexhaustible destruction god bees gathered in the sky gradually perished in such a slaughter atmosphere, and then collapsed. Victory. The power of faith really works. Fang Fan walked over to Bai Biao and gave him a bear hug. You guys are still useful after all. Fang Fan smiled and said with emotion. This god made heaven and earth, omnipotent. But what the hell is going on here? How can I feel the breath of the power of faith? Can you mobilize the power of faith? What kind of freak are you? My CAO. Bai Biao almost burst into foul language. Isn't this the exclusive ability of those true gods? Even those so-called pseudo-gods and quasi-gods can only be called roughly, and Fang Fan's one-time coverage of such a large area, it's a miracle. Freak. I see that you lack fatherly love now. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes and patted Bai Biao's back fiercely. This guy is really a little floating now. And it's not even half a star. This unmoving attitude is really indebted. Mouth is poisonous. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1448. No. You're a freak. You seem to have a natural restraint on those true gods. Now I can mobilize so much power of faith. Are you the illegitimate son of the god of creation? Or the concubine of those goddesses? Bai fluttered and raised his eyebrows, and the time spent talking nonsense increased. Roll. Fang Fan kicked out and said angrily. Just about to praise the sky for a wave, come to this set? Isn't this self-destruction? Who is to blame? Hanging is the most correct posture. The heavenly bees of destruction were gradually wiped out, and the hundreds of frost giants mixed in them naturally couldn't create much storm, killing them little by little, and destroying them little by little. Endless heavens, a certain temple. Feng, how are you? Hold on, I'll heal you. You bastard. That bastard actually wiped out the million bees of destruction you let out. If this kid doesn't get rid of it, my heart is uneasy. In the main hall, the middle-aged man in red robe was anxiously holding a giant bee with a huge body. His eyes showed love and affection from time to time, and from time to time he was full of anger. Taking advantage of this opportunity, we must take down this kid. Where is the god's general heavenly soldier? Be seated. The sound of thunder continued to sound in the sky above the entire human emperor's palace, and the battle scenes were also instantly repeated. After the bee of destruction was cut off, the calamity of this power promotion has not ended. Next, there must be more tragic battles. Fang Fan squinted his eyes flickering brightly. The only fight to the death. Husband, the situation is not right. With the promotion of general forces, it is impossible for those bees of destruction to appear, even unheard of. And the overwhelming destruction of the god bee, even the general third-rank forces are unbearable. There must be such a problem. And now the calamity is not over yet. I always feel, there is a wonderful force swaying around, it seems to be maliciously targeting. Sikong Yuxin took a breath, with a worried look in his eyes. She was a goddess before, and because of her special physique, her ability to feel is stronger than others. Since she said this at this moment, it is naturally well-founded. If so, the situation is delicate. Malicious against wonderful power. Fang Fan muttered to himself, his eyes staring at the endless void. Did the black hand behind the scenes take action again? Fang Fan, I don't know if I should say it or not. Forget it, I'd better say it. If I don't say it, I'll be tangled to death. You know who I am, I'm the kind of person who can't hide secrets. Whenever there is something, I like it. Bai Piao rambled a lot, and the car and the reels continued to talk, but there was no theme. To put it bluntly, it was all nonsense. Say the point. Fang Fan's face turned black, his right foot was slightly raised, and he couldn't help but want to kick it. The god of destruction corresponds to the god of destruction. Maybe the god of destruction is looking for trouble for you. Bai Piao glanced at Fang Fan's face, and his speech was much smoother at this moment. God of destruction? Fang Fan raised his eyes silently. Could the black hand behind the scenes be the god of destruction? Even if it is not, I am afraid it has nothing to do with this one. Fang Fan clenched his hands tightly, and fierce light condensed in his eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1449. It should come, it will always come. Do you think it is fun and interesting to come and harass again and again? Or just treat it as a game? Fang Fan silently wrote down this name in his heart, and when he stands at the right height, everything will be returned. And die. And die. And die. In the sky, one after another crazy shouts came, which attracted everyone's attention. I saw the golden armored generals and silver armored soldiers who were stubborn and determined to land from the air, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone's eyes are instantly focused. The scene can only be said to be too shocking. The quasi-sage is a soldier, and the sanctuary is a general. I'm going. What a big show. These divine generals and heavenly soldiers have been poured into the souls of real divine generals and heavenly soldiers. Someone is really targeting you, no. A true god is targeting you. Boy Fang Fan, what the hell did you do? You actually let the true god behind the scenes spend such a big price. After this wave, the elite generals and heavenly soldiers under the command of the true god will greatly lose their vitality. Generally, a slightly rational true god would not do this. Bai Piao's brows were wrinkled, and there was boundless brilliance in his eyes. Fang Fan was slightly condensed. There is a true god maliciously targeting him. This thing, more interesting. Will it be the god of destruction? He, interesting. The soldiers come to block the water and cover the soil, that's all. Murderers are killed forever. God General Heaven Soldier. Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. All practitioners above the quasi-sacred realm are listed. Follow me, fight. All cultivators below the quasi-holy realm, spread out. The main thing is to save lives. Invincible. Fang Fan snorted, ready to fight to the death. There are 500 god generals and heavenly soldiers in front of them. The two golden armor gods are both in the two-star sanctuary realm. There are 500 heavenly soldiers, ranging from low-level quasi-sages to high-level quasi-sages, but there are no absolute quasi-sages. 500 quasi-sanctuary practitioners plus two two-star sanctuary powerhouses, this kind of power can completely obliterate several third-rank forces. And at the moment, the palace of the emperor is nominally only an 8th rank power. The difference is indistinguishable. Brother Bai Piao. Fang Fan suddenly turned his head and looked at Bai Piao sincerely. Bai Piao's heart trembled, I don't know why, but when he saw Fang Fan's smile, he panicked. It seems to be quite easygoing, but I always feel that there is some conspiracy circulating in it. What do you want to? Bai Piao subconsciously took a few steps back. Brother Bai Piao, between you and my brothers, why is this? In my heart, you have always been an elder. You are very knowledgeable, powerful in combat, and even more invincible in defense. It is really an honor for the palace of the Emperor to have you in the palace of the Emperor. Hey, in front of Brother Bai Biao, I, Fang Fan, are really ashamed of myself. Comparing me with Brother Bai Biao, it's like the battle between the light of the firefly and the brilliance of the moon, the difference is too much. In my heart, I have long regarded Brother Bai Biao as my own brother. You and I, brothers, work together to create brilliance together. The palace of the Emperor, there is also a part of you. Brother Bai Biao is very kind and righteous, and righteousness is thin to Yuntian. I see these in my eyes. Wave after wave of rainbow farts, the attitude has to be revealed. As for the rest, it can be silently slowed down. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1450. Bai Biao's body could not help but straighten up instantly. Am I so good? I'll be named Bai Yu Hao in the future. Hey, you have noticed my few advantages. Bai Biao said while sighing on the side, and seemed to be quite melancholy. The corners of Fang Fan's mouth rose slightly, and the fish began to take the bait. After boasting for so long, some interest has to be charged. Brother Bai Biao, I have always kept your merits in my heart. Now my brother does have something I want to ask you to help with. Of course, if Brother Bai Biao feels embarrassed, forget it. Just pretend that I was talking nonsense before, but my admiration for Brother Bai Biao has never diminished. Fang Fan said while pretending to sigh. Boy Fang Fan. You're underestimating me for nothing. Am I the kind of person who forgets what's right? Am I the kind of person who doesn't reciprocate? Am I the kind of person who has no bottom line? You have said it for the sake, if you have anything, just say it. Bai Biao waved his hand with a proud face. The arrogant Bai Biao never disappeared. Very good. I knew that Brother Bai Biao could be trusted. Then Bai Biao, please help me resist the attack of a golden armor general. Be sure to hold on. Just hold on for 10 minutes, and I will deal with the rest. Fang Fan nodded solemnly as he spoke. The smile on Bai Biao's face disappeared instantly, replaced by endless panic. I am so. Are you kidding me? Are you throwing me into the fire? Big brother, what do you want to do? Bai Biao pursed her lips and quickly retreated. However, in the process of retreating, Fang Fan grabbed him. Brother Bai Biao, do you have the heart to let so many brothers in the imperial palace stay here? Could it be that you can really just get down and walk away? They are all your admirers. They all call you an envoy. As Fang Fan spoke, his eyes became more and more earnest, and his posture became more and more arrogant. Hey, who would have thought that a generation of divine envoys would actually be so untrustworthy? It doesn't matter, from now on, the palace of the Emperor and Brother Bai Biao will have absolutely nothing to do with it. The Emperor's palace lives and dies, naturally, it can't drag Brother Bai Biao in the slightest. As Fang Fan spoke, various gestures were vividly displayed. Bai Biao was instantly stunned, opened his mouth to say something, and finally stopped abruptly. It was too difficult. Everyone is a face. This divine envoy can resist one for you, just 10 minutes. Also, remember to add a place for me in the temple when you look back. I am a divine envoy. An upright divine envoy. I am Bai Biao hero. How did I meet you? As Bai Biao spoke, a crying expression suddenly appeared on his face. It was so difficult. There is nothing more sad in life than this. Fang Fan's mouth raised silently, everything was resolved. That's it? Delicious. Brother Bai Biao is righteous. The life and death of the Emperor's palace are all in the hands of Brother Bai Biao. After Fang Fan finished speaking, he turned around and left, and dragged Bai Biao directly up to fight. The two two-star sanctuary golden armor generals are not so easy to deal with. Even with the assistance of Na Yan's control war, Fang Fan could only fight against one 2-star sanctuary general in a short period of time. As for the other one, it can only be considered in the long run, which is why Fang Fan dragged Bai Piao.